So this is my Hatchhyack Gogeta mill deck. 1 copy of the leader. 4 SS4 Gogeta Prismatic Burst. 4 SS3 Vegeta Unstoppable Evolution. 4 Deadly Defender Goku. 4 Oceanic Shenron. 4 Full Mission Accomplished. 4 Frozen Destruction Champa. 4 E Supreme Kai. 4 Goku Adventure Begins. 4 4-Star Ball. 4 Power Burst. 4 Dirty Burst. 4 Janemba Wicked Agent of Destruction. 4 Raditz Giant Force. 4 SS Gotenks Absolute Innocent. And 4 SS4 Broly Prismatic Burst. So the mill part of the deck is obviously Janemba Wicked Agents of Destruction, along with Oceanus Negative Energy Explosion. So that's where most of our mill will come from. Plus, our opponent just drawing and you stalling with all your defensive capabilities of the deck. The defensive cards of the deck, of course, is your Deadly Defender Goku, Oceanus because it's counterattack plus it's a blocker. Your 4-Star Ball, Goku Adventure Begins engine, so you can just use that to combo defensively. Raditz Giant Force, being a double blocker. Gotenks, being a blocker, but also having the ability to get rid of up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, that kind of good stuff. So, and of course, Power Burst, being your free negate, when you're tapped out, you can at least still defend yourself in those situations. Plus, it can get you back the Goku, and the Goku gets you the 4 stars, and the 4 stars can be used to combo. And then the Dirty Burst, inherently you can just use it to negate an attack, or use this counterplay, which I misunderstood because I keep hearing the word counterplay, and I keep thinking that it's going to counter a 7 cost or higher. Actually, it prevents 7 cost or higher from attacking, which is what we really need in Hatchhyack. So us Hatchhyack players are always looking for floodgate negates. Negates to just flat out just be like, all right, nope, your turn is pointless. You shall not pass, as I like to say. So we're always looking for the you shall not pass negates. So here's one of them. And it's a generic blue, and obviously we got blue energy in the deck, so we can obviously play it. You play it for 1, and then you pay an extra blue when you're using its counterplay part. So that way you're paying 2 blue, you draw a card so it replaces itself, and then your opponent can't attack with battle cards with energy cost 7 or more for the turn. So already the leader is reducing how many times your opponent can attack with battle cards 7 cost or less. This will deal with anything 8 and higher, right? It does 7 and higher, so you pretty much forcing your opponent to only be able to attack with 6 or lower, but only at least once, right? Because of the leader effect combined with this. But this will definitely make sure that anything 7 and higher won't be able to be used against you once you play this. And it's a counterplay, so you get to do it earlier than waiting for your opponent to declare an attack or something. So that's kind of nice that you can just preemptively prevent your opponent from being able to attack, especially stopping stuff like Overwhelm or because recently for when I've been playing on Untap, people have been dropping 8 drops left and right. So Dirty Burst is obviously great for those situations, which I felt would be a problem eventually, that more people would try to put more 8 drops in their deck in case they go up against Hatchhyack. And fortunately, ironically, that's the situation I kept getting into. Most people kept dropping 8 drops on me. So Dirty Burst is the solution to that problem. So there you go. So enough of that. What else? We got Champa, E Supreme Kai, of course. Gotta get as much damage as possible, especially it depends. If you go the Awaken route, which is more likely you're not going to, but most people like to. If you're going to go the Awaken route, you're going to go the Awaken route. But regardless whether you go the Awaken route or not, the first 2 turns you're not going to attack with it. Not going to be able to attack with the leader, right? And those first 2 turns are the most important turns when it comes to doing damage. And I like to do early damage as do as much damage as possible early game as possible, right? So the faster I get to do damage, the better. And first 2 turns tends to be the most important. But with Hatchhyack, that tends to be a little tough. Because this, obviously this deck doesn't lean towards aggro. This is more of a mid to late game type of deck. So the double strike just helps make up for the fact that you're not going to do much damage until mid to late game. So this makes up for it. Also, them being red cards help trigger your Gogeta effect. You're going to get 3 effects. Normally you only get like 2, which usually is the red and black effect of the card, but since we have blue in the deck, we'll get the blue effect. So the red effect, of course, is burn, which, you know, our favorite thing, right? Favorite way of winning. So we get our burn that way, and then we get the blue, which lets us draw 3 cards. Hopefully we don't deck out from that, right? We get to draw 3 cards, you know, gotta keep our hands nice and thick. And then we get the black effect, which is choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards and warp them. So potentially get rid of any blockers, or at least any problematic battle cards that we don't want opponent to have. And then he's a 10 drop, so of course he can attack after you already attack with anything less than 7 or less, right? He can still attack, so that's useful. And he's quadruple strike, so there's 35k quadruple strike. It's always good. We got a good amount of combo power in the deck, so don't have to worry about not being able to combo, because there is a lot of combo in here for you to use. And then in order to play him out, we have a way to cheat him out. You know, we're not going to card cast him for 10. Pay 5, choose 1 Goku Zeno or and a Vegeta Zeno from your hand and or battle area, and place it into the drop area and play this card. And this is the Vegeta Zeno we're using, and this is the Goku Zeno we're using. So those are our materials, and we're typically going to send them from our hand to the drop in order to play Gogeta, and then trigger all 3 of the abilities of burn for 1, draw 3, and warp 2 of your opponent's battle cards, which is nice variety. So there's that. Then we got Vegeta. He's just, you know, obviously for the fact that he's Vegeta Zeno, but then there's also the fact that he is Overwhelm, and there will be times where, you know, you might need that extra oomph, right? Let's say you have 2 copies of him in your hand, so you drop a Vegeta and a Goku to bring out Gogeta and do his thing, right? Then the second copy of Vegeta in your hand, you'll pay 2 black to specify, right? 2 black, and then warp. You know, Overwhelm 6, right? Warp your drop area, get him out, and then now you have a 25k that, you know, you can swing with. It also has the ability to, when you play it, you draw a card, so it replaces itself. Then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, which is important, right? And warp it. So this can get rid of 1 card, battle card. This can get rid of up to 2, so you could potentially get rid of 3 battle cards just by playing these 2 in the same turn. And then, you know, you're drawing 3 cards from this, you're drawing 1 from that. I wouldn't be surprised that when you play this and draw 3 cards, you get this from it, so then you can play it afterwards and, you know, get 2 battle cards. This is a 6 drop, so obviously you'll swing with this first. Leader ability will trigger, but because this is 10, you can still attack with it. So there's synergy there that you can work with. If I added it to the deck, or made space for her, what's her name? Time Patrol Maiden. That'd be a nice card to add to this line of play, because she's an 8 drop. But you can play her for free if you have 4 battle cards, or if there's 4 battle cards in play, and this will already be 2, so your opponent just needs to have, well, hopefully still have 2 left, right? After you start warping 3 of them, 2 left, and then, you know, drop her. So that's just like some ideas. Honorable mention. So there's stuff there, and, you know, like I said, this is quadruple strike. You already burn your opponent for 1. This is single strike, so right there, that's 5 plus the burn. So that's 6 potential damage. So you have 6 potential damage just by playing these 2 in the same turn. So there's that. Goku, he's a deadly defender, you know, barrier. During your opponent's turn in rest mode, your opponent can't attack leader. So they have to attack this and get this off the board first. Now, of course, you use the 4-star ball to try to keep it in play longer, so it can potentially absorb 2 attacks at least. Oceanus blocker, counter attack, negating attack, and you discard a card in order to play it, of course. typically we discard a 4-star ball for that. And then if you played a card before you played her, like let's say a Power Burst or a Dirty Burst, for example, we play this after that, and then this effect triggers that every time your opponent attacks, they have to mill the top 4 card deck. So that's where we get our milling from her effect. And she only costs 2 to play on our opponent's turn because they're permanent. We have Food Mission Accomplished. He will help us, help us recycle stuff like our, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, so we can, combine him with Gogeta, and do that line of play I was just talking about earlier, or use it to reuse Oceanus, so we kind of have a Oceanus loop, because we'll use her for her Floodgate ability, her ability to negate attack, obviously, and then use her as a blocker. Once she's in a drop, we can just bring her back with food, and then just try to do that all over again. Another nice little nifty-ish trick, just another auto mention, like for her, would be to kind of have like a little loop thing, so to speak, would be to use max power Kamehameha instead of like Power Burst, for example, because of the fact that you'll be able to reuse it every turn. You'll play it, negate an attack, right? Warp 4, add it back to your hand, and then play her for 2, and then go from there. And then later on, Fu, add her back to the hand, and then you'll still have a max power Kamehameha, and then go play that and go that route. So it's just just an idea. But Power Burst is good enough for this, because if you have multiple copies, then you're just gonna do this multiple times. That's all. Mention Fu, pay 2, send this from your warp, and remove it from send it from your drop out of the game, move it from the game, from your drop, and then you can grab a 7 cost or less battle card. And this is a 6 drop, this is a 5 drop, this is a 3 drop. Of course, we could grab the Goku if we need to, but we typically will be using Power Burst for that. So you want to use this for your other options, specifically your Oceanus. That's one of your defenses. You always want to keep your defenses up. The further instruction shop Easter Kai, of course, for double striking, for the color red, so we can get the burn from our Gogeta. So keep that in mind. At some point, you're going to want to charge one of these to be able to use your Gogeta's burn ability. Goku Adventure Begins, we only use it for this first active main, which is to add a 4-star ball from our deck or drop to our hand. And if you have multiple copies, obviously you can use each copy's active main ability to add balls, and have multiple balls in your hands. And then we use the balls mainly to combo, use as discard fodder, like for Oceanus and anything of that nature. Power Burst, it's free negate an attack, add a 1 drop. A battle card will cost 1 black battle card with the cost of 1 from your drop, or warp, which is the Goku, and Sparking set 5. If you have 5 or more cards in your drop, you can take a card from your life, add it to your hand, and play this for free. Typically, you're going to use this against like double strike or triple strike, stuff like that. Against single, damage, it's pointless. But against double striking, it definitely comes in handy. And then Dirty Burst, I already mentioned, you can negate an attack or use this counter play ability by paying 2, draw a card, and then for the rest of the turn, 7 and higher battle cards can't attack you. Wicked, Janemba Wicked, Agent of Destruction, we're mainly using it for its +0 ability, which will you and your opponent draw a card, then your opponent mills the top card of the deck. So this will help, slowly mill your opponent out. So it just adds like a clock, as it were, right? As some control, right? Some control elements, because you're milling stuff, so it makes it hard for your opponent to draw anything good. And then of course you're just getting them closer to decking out, and win that way through deck out. But then of course we got burn, and then we got quadruple strike and double strike as win cons. We got Broly for going tall, so with enough energy we can make him like 50k plus, and then give him double strike, and he can be 60k plus double strike. So we can go tall with Broly. Janemba does have the ability to gain triple strike and 15k, so it could become 30k triple strike with its -2 ability. So that's something to keep in mind. It does have the ability to gain crit if you need to use crit, and double strike and do double strike crit. Raditz have the ability to block twice because of its auto. It has the -2 ability where it can bounce one of your opponent's battle cards back to their hand and untap a blue energy, so that we can use that blue energy for a dirty burst or a power burst, whatever you need it for. And it has the +0 ability to draw a card and then switch the card back to active mode, so that way you can attack with it, draw a card, and switch it back to active mode. And this is the main workhorse in the deck. It's your main draw engine as well as your main defense. But we do have draw abilities from this Wicked Janemba, as well as it helps us with the mill stuff. Gotenks, he's here, because he has dual attack, which is always good. To have the ability to attack more than once, he's 20k blocker, as well as he has the -2 ability to let us draw 2 cards, which does come in handy a lot. You definitely want some draw effects with your unisons, because of the fact that if you go up against hand control, that definitely could be a problem. So of course we got draw effects to help us counter that, as well as we have the 4-star ball to help us counter the effect of us milling stuff, discarding stuff. Plus we got food to help us add stuff back from our drawback to hand if need be. Then of course we got the -3 ability to be able to choose up to 2 of our opponent's battle cards, ignore, bury, and place them at the bottom of their deck, which is, if you're trying to mill, it's not the ideal place to put them when it comes to this deck, but this is an ideal way to get rid of anything really problematic. So just use it wisely. And like I said, Broly, the more energy you use the more you pay to play him, the stronger he gets. He gets 5k for every marker, so if you pay 4 to play him, he'll be at 30k because he has 44 markers, so that's 20 power. So it'll be 30k on your turn only. And then he has the auto -X. Remember, it's an auto, not active battle, so it's an auto. So when your opponent attacks your leader, you can trigger this after the counter window step, counter attack step, and then trigger this auto, and then remove as many markers as you want, and your leader gets 5k power for the battle for each marker you remove from this card by the skill. So you could potentially give your leader a 20k boost if you remove 4 markers, a 20k boost, which before your opponent gets the combo, and then before you get to combo. So that's pretty nice to have. So it's strong on your turn, so it's a good beat stick, but it has some defensive capability, which is nice. Typically you don't really need like early game, you only need them to be a 20k. Always try to keep at least 1 energy up. Keep that in mind. Always want to keep at least 1 energy up for defense. But late game, you can pump as much as you want if you're trying to go for game. But typically, if you play him early game, you only need him to be a 20k. It's more than enough to apply pressure to your opponent. And that's the end of the video.